best be described as the calm before the storm. After Jerome Powell's Jackson Hole, Wyoming speech, which set the market ablaze, and man, boy, did things start moving. All-time high for the S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial Average, new all-time high there as well. New all-time high for NASDAQ 100, Russell 2000, most importantly, actually, even though this wasn't a new all-time high, up nearly 4% in one single day. That shows that breadth is expanding. It shows that investors who are willing to take on additional risk, because small caps, of course, are perceived as riskier stocks relative to large caps. And historically, when that happens, that's the same time where the altcoin market goes wild. So we did see some coins hit a new all-time high. Ethereum did on Friday. The Binance coin hit another new all-time high on Friday. Over the last couple of days, though, at least to this point, mostly sideways price action, but it is the weekend. So I'll just tell you this, we're not going to stay here for long. I'm going to share with you perspective from a bunch of different XRP chart analysts, and you are going to absolutely love what these chart analysts have to say, including one of the best in the space saying, and this is a quote, "In hindsight, it will be obvious," and he's referencing XRP specifically. This thing is going to rocket. In fact, I've also got, I'll tell you this at the outset too, I've got two chart analysts highlighting an 8-year formation on the XRP chart that is about to break. And we already saw one long formation break late last year, XRP USD. There's another one that's about to blow. It's absolutely going to happen. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it is 3:17 a.m. Central Time, which is my time zone, up at a weird time because why not? I don't have any kids, at least not that I'm aware of. And so XRP is $3.04. Bitcoin at 114,751 bucks. So like I said, mostly sideways price action here. But this is a time to be very excited. In fact, to drive the point home, take a look at this post from chart analyst Crypto Wizard. This is the market cap Bitcoin dominance percentage chart, and you'll love to see it. Here he simply wrote, "Finally happened. For 877 days, Bitcoin dominance traded in an uptrend. That is, until now. The trend has broken, and Bitcoin dominance is already down 11.85% since our top call. Lower to go. Hold on tight." And so this uptrend, it's actually, it's Bitcoin dominance, it's been trending upward since at some point in 2022. It is now finally breaking down. He ain't kidding. When he posted this, Bitcoin dominance was at 58.26%. So this was on Saturday afternoon that he posted this. Here's a live look at it. As I record this video, it's live anyway. 58.21%. So hanging out right around there. It's going to just absolutely plummet. Look at this going back to 2022. It's just been trending up, up, up. And this is important because this happens every single market cycle. We're going to keep watching this. You're going to see this absolutely tank, even though the price of Bitcoin can, and I certainly expect will go up for one final parabolic push. But what this signals is an increase in speed for altcoins, picking up in terms of dominance. That's what you'll want. I'm willing to bet that you guys are all like me. And, I'm assuming most of you are pretty big XRP fans, but more broadly, just expecting the life-changing wealth to come not from Bitcoin, but from altcoins in general, with XRP being a very key component of that, no doubt. But that's why this matters here. Here's a post from chart analyst Galaxy, and this is such a similar post to something I posted from Raoul Pal yesterday. He, of course, is the founder and CEO of Real Vision and global macro investor, former Goldman Sachs executive, decades-long history in finance. And Raoul Pal shared what is effectively the same chart. And they created their own charts. I'm not saying one copied the other. I'm saying they basically independently came to the same conclusion. What's on your screen here is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin. So it's the altcoins. And here Galaxy wrote, altcoins are getting ready to become a hot topic again. And he's showing that altcoins have been coiling up going back the last roughly 4 years. I mean, the beginning of 2021, basically. You can see it's been coiling up. And these things break before you get to the apex, about 100% of the time. And given that we're in a bull market, I'm going to predict that this goes up dramatically and alts absolutely outperform. Bitcoin, which means XRP just takes off. Here's another look at it, and this one is super telling. This post comes from chart analyst Tech Dev. He shared this with his 546,000 followers on X, so he's one of the more well-known and respected analysts in the crypto space. And what we have here is total 2/BTC chart. So it's the entire crypto. Well, not technically the entire. It's always articulated as that. It's not technically. It's the top 120. Total 2 is the top 125 coins by market cap, excluding Bitcoin. And so it's that priced against Bitcoin. That's what this chart is. And so this chart shows altcoin dominance against Bitcoin. That's the key takeaway. That's what you need to understand. So the white line on the screen here is that ratio. It's basically how altcoins are performing relative to Bitcoin. And the blue shaded area is just a visual backdrop highlighting trend zones. And that's why this is so interesting, though. The indicator on it, it's called the parabolic SAR, or stop and reverse, which you can see why it's called that. It indicates just that, a stop and a reverse. So it just flipped bullish for the first time since early 2021. And the last time that happened, it kicked off a massive alt season. So this flip is a signal that altcoins are gearing up to outperform Bitcoin again. And you can see, look at this. When this blue shaded, the blue shaded one, that's the SAR. Look at that. Look at how it just dropped. It just fell off a freaking cliff. And at the same time, total 2 took off, which is alts. And you can see it just flipped again for the first time in over 4.5 years. Now, I know that this in 2021, this looks more steep. That's because this just started. This isn't done. Check back in, in like a month, and let's see how the drop-off continues. I'm willing to bet that it will, and it's going to be dramatic here. Because history rhymes with itself. This is going to be huge, folks. This isn't done. We're towards the end of the market cycle, no doubt. I ain't denying that. But I'm excited for it. We're finally going to get our life-changing wealth. That's what we've been here for so many years. Here's a post from chart analyst Credible Crypto. This is an XRP BTC chart. Let's talk about XRP for the rest of this entire video. Credible Crypto says, in hindsight, it will be obvious. And folks, I just have a feeling that by the time this market cycle's done, there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of regret, made stupid decisions not to invest in XRP based on toxic Bitcoin maxi speak, and people and just quote unquote wisdom from people who suffer from XRP derangement syndrome. It's a sad affliction indeed. But yeah, this thing's going to rocket. XRP has made Bitcoin its tiny little baby back bitch, and it's going to continue doing so until things finally culminate in a ridiculous euphoric peak. And that is what's coming. So yeah, in hindsight, it will be obvious. I think that he's absolutely correct. And he's showing here that XRP is going to, in the short term, dramatically outperform Bitcoin. Expect that. Here's a post from chart analyst Greg Crypto. And he wrote, if XRP stays above $3.03 for the next 7 days, it will mark the highest monthly full body candle closing price in the history of XRP. Now, given that the market's flipped bullish, I'd say there's a pretty reasonable chance that hits. I'm hoping it does. Nobody knows for sure. I'd say a better than 50% chance. Let's say that. I think that's very safe to say. Because look, I know things have been kind of sideways the last couple days after we got the news that broke on Friday, and that did set the market ablaze. That was fantastic. That is what we were wanting and hoping. We got it. Let's just see what happens this coming week. I have a feeling that even if it takes weeks, even if we don't immediately break out, it's so obvious that it's coming. Like all these key resistances that have been broken through, I cite them at the outset of the video. That's very meaningful. And XRP is not done here. In fact, to drive that point home, you want to see another resistance that's about to get broken here? This is a post that comes from Altcoin Gordon, one of the more well-known figures in the crypto space. He shared this with his 798,000 followers just yesterday, Saturday. It's an XRP BTC chart. Remember how Credible Crypto just said, in hindsight, it will be obvious on that, and he was sharing that XRP BTC chart? Well, here's something that's even more interesting than that. This shows XRP BTC specifically, so XRP denominated in Bitcoin, going back the last 8 years. And so here he wrote, XRP BTC is about to smash through its 8-year downtrend. 6+ spot XRP ETF approvals coming. And I actually paused to say, there are 11 different firms that filed. It could be 11, actually. He cited 6 there. I'm not sure why he picked that number. Maybe he's not aware of the 11, or he just doesn't think some are going to get approved. Don't know. But then he says, partnerships with Japan's SBI Holdings. The Ripple SEC case has officially ended. XRP Ledger massive upgrades coming. if there's one large cap which is about to pump hard, it's gonna be XRP. Now, he's not kidding. There was one analyst I shared in a video yesterday. He highlighted the same damn thing. It was the XRP BTC chart. And again, not that these guys are copying each other. They're just realizing very obvious things and sharing that. And that's why I want to make sure as many people as possible know this. That's why I'm highlighting this. So you can see this bitch is about to blow. This is going back 8 years. And if memory serves, the analyst who highlighted this, maybe it was 2 days ago, 1 or 2 days ago, I want to say, I think it was Galaxy, actually. I'm pretty sure it was Galaxy BTC. And he's highlighting the same concept. Now, the longer something consolidates, the greater the force that it bursts with when it finally does burst. That's why this matters. And you saw how forceful the XRP USD chart was when it broke out of its nearly 7-year symmetrical triangle. What I'm telling you is it's the same type of thing here. It's just that instead of XRP USD, it's XRP BTC. That's the chart on your screen here. This thing's going to get intense. So that's the second analyst that I came across pointing that out. Here's a third. They're all independently coming to the same conclusion because it just makes logical sense. Like, nothing's been ever in crypto. I'm not aware of anything that has been coiled up more intensely than this chart. Ever. If there is something, let me know. I'm not saying I'm all knowing. You let me know. Or maybe there's something that's equivalent because, I don't know. I didn't look at the XLM chart, but that moves in tandem with XRP. It basically just copies XRP moves. It really does. Very frequently. But here, chart analyst CW shared this XRP BTC chart. And he says, the 8 years convergence on the XRP BTC chart is on the verge of breaking. Ethereum has broken through the convergence, and XRP will follow that. Altcoins are beginning a rally. So that's 3 analysts who independently came to basically the exact same conclusion. This thing has been coiling up for about 8 years. It's about to break through. And that makes sense. The timing for all of this makes sense, too, from a historical perspective. Here's a post from chart analyst Cantonese Cat. It says, XRP market cap has already broken into all-time highs and reached 1.618 fib, currently finding support at the 1.414 fib, and looking like a setup that it wants to keep going a lot higher. And so, again, this is what I keep finding. I cannot find analysts who believe that XRP is not going to perform well for the remainder of this cycle. They basically no longer exist. If you can find one, I'll highlight them. I'm always happy to share diverse perspectives. Okay, I've done it in the past. I'm not afraid to continue doing it. I'm just telling you, it's not like I'm cherry picking positive XRP stuff. It's that I can't find negative XRP stuff. Nobody believes that it's going to. In fact, you used to see people rip on XRP all the time just because they hate it. They suffer from XRP derangement syndrome, and a lot of them are toxic Bitcoin maxis. They have stopped typing nonsense with their fat little fingers on the internet, and they've shut up their stupid little face holes saying nonsense about XRP because they're embarrassed now. They've said a bunch of nonsense. It hasn't panned out. They've misled their followers. Some of them have massive follower counts. And so they just stopped doing it. They're tired of getting egg on their face. And so because even they aren't doing it now, I can't find negative stuff about XRP because it's just obvious it's going to go. The entire asset class moves in tandem. It's just a question of what's going to have more strength, and XRP just seems so perfectly primed. Here's a post from chart analyst Dark Defender. He says, we discussed a bull flag scenario on November 20th, 2024, and expected XRP to appreciate from $1.13 to $2.40. This was checkmark emoji. XRP is now getting ready to perform a similar bull flag scenario to travel from $3 to $4.39 and then $5.85 shortly. So here's yet another analyst that thinks in the short term that's what we're going to see. Now, I've seen him many times, especially over the last year, talk about how he believes XRP is likely to peak around $18. So for him, this would very clearly just be the start of the last major move for XRP this market cycle. And finally, here's a post from chart analyst Ali Martinez. It says, XRP is in the middle of a rebound to $3.60. So again, I keep finding all of this optimism, this positivity. I can't find the negativity because, again, it just doesn't make logical sense. It doesn't mean we can't go lower in the short term. I'm not arguing that. They're not arguing that. Of course that can happen. But on a higher time frame, like what's going to happen by the end of the cycle, number go up is what's going to happen. That's what I believe anyway. And of course, again, nobody can know for sure. And I'm not pretending I do. I'm sharing with you my personal opinion, my conviction. I think we're nowhere near done. And I know, based on historic precedent, that second pump, the major pump that comes 6 months roughly after the first pump, it is way, way more consequential and way more awesome than the first one. So if you thought the first part where XRP went from 49 cents up to, at the time in January, $3.40, if you thought that was great, in terms of dollar appreciation, you ain't seen nothing yet. If history rhymes, this next move, by the time it finishes, is going to dwarf that first move. That's why there are so many analysts that are very comfortable conservatively predicting that XRP will get close